So, are you ready for lots and lots and lots of spoilers? I'm going to spoil this book, 6 Ways to Sunday. I am not going to tell you how it turns out, but I will spoil the rest of the book. So, welcome to the D. Louise book series, fresh out of the shower. My hair has to dry. I don't put it up until it dries. It just dries straight. It's still wet. Anyways, just a second. Sorry. So, welcome to the D. Louise book series. It's nice to meet you. I'm Christina KRS, TINA. This is where we read books and talk about books. No special effects going on here, nothing special. I would ask, I do 9 podcasts a week. Let me think about this. We have Star Trek Next Generation recaps on Friday. Friday afternoons we do If Then. If you like this author, then maybe you like that author. And Flashback Monday, where we talk about mystery, historical romance, contemporary romance, suspense, thrillers, harlequins, paranormals, the whole 9 yards. We talk about them all. And, of course, my daily book reviews. And today, I've had this book a really long time. The cover got scrunched here a little bit. But I have had this book a really, really long time. And if, as of this podcast, and as of recording this podcast, should I say, I have read 132 books this year thus far. By the time this airs, I will probably have read another 10 to 15 books. And we will be getting to Alex Cross. I ended up having to buy a few. But I am doing the James Patterson's Alex Cross series. We did the Women's Murder Club last year. And we also did J.D. Robb's Eve Dallas series and Janet Ivanovich's series. We did Laurel last year, too. So we are doing J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood, Victoria Thompson's Gaslight series. We've only got 10 books left in that. Whoa! And Alex Cross, J.R. Ward, and Victoria Thompson. Those are the 3 series we're doing. So, anyway, I had this book for a while, and it's got a crease in it, because I take the cover off when I read it, so I don't have to deal with the shifting and fixing it and shifting and fixing it. So I just take the cover off so I don't damage the jacket, and I just read the book like that. And I prefer a book. I sent out this survey, and so far, 1 person has responded to my survey. So that's how much traffic I get. So if you know any magic, you can spread the word that I'm here, that I exist. People just don't know that I exist. It would be nice to be seen. And, I've got to get rid of this. Drive me crazy. So, I have been nursing this book for a while. Reading a chapter here or there in between the other books. And I finally got to a lull, and I decided to finish it. And there is a lot to talk about. Rachel gets in serious, serious trouble. And it's the old thing that you're in a hurry, and someone tells you something. You need to stop for 2 seconds and listen to what they have to say. Because in books, in TV series, and horror movies, and all that kind of stuff, you could have saved lives, or could have saved money, or could have saved something if you had taken the 10 seconds to hear the person say their full sentence. But telling them you don't have time and you're in a hurry to go do X, Y, Z is a disaster waiting to happen. You need, in all these horror movies, they do it. They do it. They do it. they have somebody come in with the news and the person is in too much of a hurry and they don't hear the news and something terrible happens as a result of the person not listening. So, we start this book. It is book 17. As you know, Kim Harris stopped writing the Rachel series back at book 13. And she took a few years off and wrote some other things, and then she happily came back to it for all us fans who wanted her to come back to it. At the same time, Charlene Harris stopped writing Sookie Stackhouse too, and will not return to it. She has no intentions of returning to it anytime soon, and she's busy with her Rose series, the Gunner series. I don't particularly care for it myself. I was always hoping for a Sookie Stackhouse return. But, so we've got our Rachel here, and this is book 17 in the series. And in the first chapter, Al is helping Rachel with her ley lines, and Biz is finally out of the bottle. He is her gargoyle. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You came to visit? So he is her gargoyle, and Treble is Al's gargoyle. And, 3 different sets of this is my milk. It's just milk. I'm gonna put this up here. Okay. So, 3 different, no. She was gonna jump on the table and take my milk. Yes, ma'am. So there were 3 different wares having a meeting, in the park, and Rachel goes, remember, my computer is being held together by a binder clip. The bottom fell out. So, right now she's rubbing her computer. So if my computer was moving all over the place, you know she's doing it. Come here. Oh well. You know? Where was I now? So the where's you? Oh, come here. I don't want to poke you in the eye. So there are 3 different groups of alpha wares that are having a meeting in the park, and in Inderland, security shows up. Walter Vincent is the guy that she stole the focus from. He's one of the wares. She calls David her friend and the pack leader of one of the wares, and the magic user says that that they can't fight, and Rachel and Hughes influence both. So Casey, who is David's girlfriend or second banana in the wolves, wears, although she's a fox, so that's diff. So I don't know how she can be a leader in the wares if she's a fox. Because I'm thinking wolves, so I don't know how a fox can be a rank for a wolf. And David fights Walter, and a man sends a curse right into David, and David goes down, totally out cold. And he's not dead, but he's like in a coma thingy. And so he ends up in the hospital, and Trent and Jenks arrive, and there is something wrong with David's aura, and they have aurologists working on him, and they can't fix it. And they need Rachel to fix it, but she's got to figure it out. Then Guy and Eden, a father and son team who are working with the FIB, the Inderland specialist, arrive. And they talk about what happened. And if you don't know already, I do a lot of sharing. I enjoy these books and I like to share these books with you and talk about them with you. Um, so be prepared for some reading. Um, uh, Head down, I took my seat, and three men did the same. I sipped my coffee, stifling a shudder of the memory of Cassie's choked sobs. Trent had heard this when I'd called him, but it still made my gut tight. Remember Walter Vincent, that militia wear from Mackinaw City? Glenn glanced at his dad. The where you stole the focus from. I did not steal it, I said, ruffled. Nick found it in Detroit. Trent chuckled, his eyes on his phone as he eased deeper into his chair. A search funded by Vincent, whereupon Nick refused to give it to him. He said, leading to you pretending to destroy it and give it to David. My held breath slipped from me. His words hadn't been recrimination. Trent knew how dangerous the focus would be in Walter's possession, and I shoved away the mental image of Nick tied to a sink, blood-caked and bruised, because he wouldn't tell Walter he'd sent the focus to me. The militant wear wouldn't stop with beatings and threats this time. So that's a little serious situation going on there. And then we have is there anything I can do? You can do, Cassie whispered from his other side, and guilt rose. There were too many people in here, but everyone wanted to help. I don't know what this is, I admitted as I gave David's hand a squeeze. Walter's magic user isn't an elf simply because he invoked the goddess. Demons can use elf magic, though only Hodin and I did. Witches too, though they don't very often. Which might be because every time they work with the elves, something really bad happens. The idea of asking a deity to intervene on their behalf doesn't sit well with them. I whispered. A deadly, mischievous, capricious, unreliable deity crap on toast, we might be in trouble. Trent frowned. I'm still going to look into it. Rage, a squint at his aura, Jenks said. It's the same as Cassie's people. Cassie breathed caught, and I shifted nervously, nodding that I would. Ring magic, I thought as I unfocused my attention to bring my second sight. Hodin liked using elven magic. He liked storing magic in rings, too. But Hodin was safely ensconced in a talupa, unable to escape what was basically solitary confinement. The mischievous demon had tried to get me to become his lackey before I'd gotten smart. That Hodin might have dangled the student card before someone else wasn't a big jump. And there is some serious, they don't know who the bad guy is at this point, although, as one of my authors will say, this particular bad guy spends quite a bit of time maybe off stage, but they're talked about a lot. And it's if the person is on stage or on the page and they're actually doing something or talking, blah, 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 that's on stage. But if you're told about it, if someone else, if another character is referring to said character, then that's off stage. Oh, last week so-and-so, blah. Or yesterday so-and-so, blah. But if so-and-so is here talking to you, then that's on stage. But if someone else is telling you about so-and-so, then that's off stage. And then, yes, ma'am. What? You need something to make a finding charm, Cassie blurted, cutting Glenn off. Why? What you got? I said, pulse fast and Casey chuckled darkly. A wad of fur I ripped off the F-word's face, she said, and Jenk smirked, hands on his hips as he landed on the bed rail. It's Vincent's. I pulled it out from between my teeth when I shifted, so you might have to clean it. Find Vincent, you'll find that magic user. Perfect, I said as she reached into the pocket of her sweatpants. I let go of David's hand to make the turf of silver fur. This is great, I said, the rough hair bump in my grip. Find Walter, find his magic user. Find the counter curse. Not so fast. It's not going to be so easy. It's going to, because you're going to have to face it. When the bad guy is here and you don't see them, that's you. The bad guy is standing right here and you don't see him. That's your fault. Because he's right here. Right. Then Rachel spends some time with Trent and Elizabeth. Just a sec. It's a little side note, I guess. But Trent has the kids for the weekend, I guess, but he's got something up, so he needs Elizabeth to take the kids, and she says no, puts her foot down, cement hard. So Rachel offers to take the kids with Al, and they go to the park, and an incident happens, and Rachel ends up shifting into a were. I did not know that she could do that. I did not know that she had these powers. And then her and Trent have a little few words over the fact that she let the kids see all the violence because Trent wasn't there. And like, this is the lies you people got, you know. So they eventually make up, but they have this little tiffy wiffy in it. It gives a little character angst, I guess. And then we learn that Steph has gotten a job at the hospital, which is good news for her. And then Rachel heads to Patricia's spell shop, and apparently she's got a history with Patricia. And Patricia doesn't like her all that much. And she finds Vivian and Lee there together. And I do not know why I wanted to share this with you. Vivian Lee, I stammered as I inched out of hiding. My gosh, what are you two doing here together? Clearly surprised, Lee smiled, his oval face and straight back hair from his Japanese heritage looking more pronounced next to Vivian's blonde and blue-eyed Midwestern vanilla. Trent's childhood friend was of average build, average height, and everyday brown eyes. There was an uncomfortable tingle of ley line energy as our internal balances tried to equalize, and I flushed. Wow, good to see you both. Blah, blah, blah. I don't remember when this was. But Trent, Lee was supposed to be at a meeting with Trent at the time of this meeting. So there's something going on here. Then Vivian tells Rachel that she the curse on David, and Vivian blames her for Brad Pike's brother's memory loss, and she wants the curse and the evidence and how to cure it, or she's gonna put Rachel in Alcatraz. And Alcatraz seems to be a huge thing, threat in this book. It seems to be a big, huge threat. I wanted to see if I had it here. If you show me the curse and evidence of attempted resolution, I can stall them until the first of the year, she said, sounding apologetic. But if I show them the curse, they might file the papers this afternoon. We all make mistakes, Vivian said as I drew my shoulder bag onto my lap. It sounded insulting the way she said it, and I stood tugging my coat closer. I have to go. I'm watching David this afternoon so Cassie can get some sleep. Here are your amulets and your milkweed fibers, Patricia said. That'll be $24.15, cash only. So, she's threatening her with Alcatraz if she doesn't come forward with the answers to the curse. So Walter Vincent comes to the hospital, and while she's distracted, and kidnaps David. And then Rachel goes to see Glenn at the FIB headquarters, and Jenks and Cassie go with her, and she meets Marty. Marty is a real. I made a big deal out of it when it happened, but it's not going to be important to the story. But it was interesting how Glenn introduces Rachel and Cassie to Marty. He says that Rachel, Morgan, and Jenks, they own and operate vampiric charms out of the Hallows. And then Cassie Castle owns and operates the Hallows floating casinos. And while they're at the FIB, they watch video of David being wheeled out by the bad guys in a wheelchair. And apparently there was trackers on the cab, and the cab took them to a chop shop where David is being held. So to make plans and probably to stall, I guess, a plot device, I guess, of, anticipation kind of thing. They go to a Pescari's restaurant and have some food, and then they talk about going to the chop shop to get David. And when they get there, they discover that Cassie went on her own without telling them. And because if they were dead, Cassie and I were going to have some major trouble. I can't believe she went around me like this, I said as I focused the binoculars to the shadowed railing to find Glenn Pike or the sparkle of pixie dust. David, Ivy whispered, and I jumped as she touched my shoulder, pointing. Where? Breathed, held, I followed her line of sight, my pulse hammering as I spotted him beaten and bruised, caked blood cracking to ooze in ugly rivulets. He lay in the shadows at Parker's feet in an awkward slump, his torn skin showing where they had ripped his hospital gown. He's awake. And apparently they had the counter curse. The counter-reactive curse. And they got him awake. And David said it was Pike's ring that did the breaking of the curse. And Glenn and them show up, and Casey says about her Doyle's plan, that this was something that they had to do, and that's why they didn't tell Rachel that they were going to do it ahead of her. And then we get a little bit more Brad thinks it's the ring. He cursed Cassie's employees with, not the cure for it, I muttered, wondering what Al was trying to distract me from as the chocolates dissolved in my tongue. The mage was furious, almost as if Walter had broken the ring itself, not just his hold on David. Said he made it useless, which sounded right if he had been Hoden's student. Hoden had a nasty habit of leaving things out to keep himself above those he deemed a threat. That was how I ended up cursing Pike's brother in the first place. My head snapped, a new thought trickling through me. Unless the curse and the counter-curse are within the same ring. Or there are two rings. One for the curse one for the cure. And that has to be investigated. It's unknown at this juncture. And they talk about it would have to be crafted on a Mobius strip to hold both the cure and the curse. This was new. I was familiar with the twist strip of paper that turned 3 dimensions into one, but had never heard of it being used to spell with a Mobius strip. I questioned and Al glared at Trent as if all the woes of the world were his fault. You may as well tell us both. I'm going to tell him anyway. Because of the never-ending capacity, a Mobius curse exacts a corresponding highly price for its construction, which is why the elves were the only people desperate enough to practice their creation. What you hold is experimental elven war magic, something they tried to make work and couldn't. Otherwise, they would have used it on us and there'd be a record of it. The only reason Hodin knows of it is because they tried it on him and failed. So that's a big thing. Then we have some more conversation with Trent. And I'm not sure why I wanted this. No worth for him, I thought. So we're good, I said brightly. Get Walter's finding amulet from Glenn. Break into Hodin's room for the cure phrase. Uncurse Casey's employees. Al gets the ring, destroys it. Cincy's power balance course corrects. Walter and his mage go home. Piece of cake. No, that's not even close to what happens. Not even close. Vivian calls Rachel. She's unhappy. Where have you been? She said. I've been trying to reach you all night. The ever after, I said, finding out all sorts of things about the ring that cursed David. It's the same thing that hit Casey Castle's employees, and I'm this close to finding the cure. When I do you want to meet me at the hospital and see how it works? You were in the ever after? Rachel, I can't express how important it is to you remain in Cincinnati. Why? I said. Am I a person of interest? And you can't put someone in jail for the ability to do something. They have to knowingly do it and get caught. They have to get caught too. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? We'll see. Then they have an outing with the family. And Parker arrives and says the mage wants the ring back. And you irritate me, she said, but what I can't stand is Walter's insistence that we could down David without getting rid of you first. You have to take the bitch out to get the dog to move. Most alpha males have an overinflated opinion of their sex. Until you are gone, the focus is safe with David ring or not. I'm going to fix that. Give me the ring and I will walk out of here. For now, don't, and I'm going to rip you into strips so I can feed you to my Pekingese. Either way, I win. And she's talking to Parker. Or Parker's talking to her. So then Rachel turns into a wolf. I didn't know she could do that. We talked about that. Walter ends up in the hospital. Jenks takes care of the girls, and Rachel goes to see Walter. Trent is not happy that Rachel put the girls with Al again. Walter has no deluge spell on him. He tried, a no divulge. Rachel asks Walter who the mage is, and because there's a no divulge, don't divulge the information spell on Walter, he dies before he can give the information out. Rachel talks to Trent about the ring and the wards and stuff, and Glenn was supposed to call, I said, wrapped my arm around my middle. He's under a gag order, Vivian said. The only reason I'm allowed to tell you, actually I'm not, but I'm calling because the tests have come in and the curse that took Walter down requires demon blood. That's why you couldn't break it. That doesn't mean it was me, I said. I'm not the only source of it. Walter is working with Hoden. Walter could have been under the no divulge curse before he even got to Cincinnati. Yes, we're investigating that, but until then, I'm asking you not to leave Cincinnati. You are more than a person of interest and a half step for being charged. I did not curse Walter, but even I had to agree that I had the motive and the means. Sure, Glenn had been standing right there, FIB or not, he was also human, and his testimony would probably be useless. And Rachel warns her about going to Alcatraz again. And Rachel wants Lee to break the ward on Hoden's door. And they break the curse. And they get the chakra. And the curse is Elf. And they cure Kyle. And Vivian is unhappy that she's unable to see. She did not see Rachel perform the curse. Trent makes a confession. Let's see. So Rachel and Trent are living apart, and I think I'll leave this as something you can read for yourself. But he makes the confession as to a rock solid reason why they're not living together and why they will never live together, specifically in this particular building. Maybe someplace else, but not in this building. And that's a huge. When you get your book, it's page 254. You can check that out for yourself and see the reason. They go to a coffee festival, and Lee is there, and Parker and her gang is there, and there's a big, huge confrontation. And it's not good. It's not good at all. Besides, who is going to steal from Cincinnati's resident demon? That would be me. I suppose, Lee said, chuckling. So you're keeping the book? I'll probably give it to Al, too, for safekeeping. I looked past Trent at Lee, wondering what his game was. You saw what it takes to twist. That thing is elven nasty and has no place this side of the ley lines. What, you think I'm going to save it to give to my children? Elven nasty, Trent said. You know what I mean, I said, then halted, surprised at Lee's empty expression. You must excuse me, too much coffee. And he leaves, and things hit the fan, and things go off. And Lee ends up getting, Parker ends up getting away. She jumps out a window. She gets hurt. She goes to the hospital, and she ends up escaping the hospital. Then there's another meeting in the park, and Cassie challenges Parker, and the challenge goes 6 ways to Sunday, and they have negotiations, Rachel is named as Cassie's second, and everybody believes that Cassie is going to lose because she's not strong enough. She does sort of kind of win, but Rachel fixes it in the end for her. And Parker has to live with the consequences of her actions. After that, you can read that for yourself. So then Rachel goes back to her place, discovers who the real murderer, well, not murderer, but yeah, murderer, who the person is behind all what's going on, who is the evil one here. And it gets messy, it gets very complicated. They issue a warrant for Rach because they think she committed murder. She's being expertly framed. Trent's assets are being held. He's got a warrant for his arrest. There ends up being a warrant for Rachel's arrest, although that kind of works out. But we're left a little on the edge with Trent. And Rachel does gets in some massively serious trouble at the end. Massively serious trouble. She doesn't think. Jenks yells at her because he had, like I had said previously, he was going to tell her XYZ, but she was in a hurry to get to Trent to save his butt. And because she didn't listen to Jenks, she did not get the full story. And it ended up costing a few people lives. And Rachel has to live with that for a very long time. And she has to live with the consequences of her action and what she did. We also, a little bit of a spoiler, have some dealings with Constance. So I expect Constance to be back in the next book, which will be out in December of this year. And so I'll be looking forward to that. Okay, she's going to drive me crazy. So I'm going to go play with her. I hope you enjoyed my spoilers. There was tons of them. It was a good book. And, Rachel just, I was kind of a little mad at Rachel at the end for her selfishness because she didn't think. She just reacted. If she listened to people, taken an extra 10 seconds. Yeah, it was probably a plot line. I get it. It was a plot line. It was an author's devious way to throw in last one twist. And it was a big doozy because it ended up costing Rachel. And she needs to think about these things a little bit better. And personally, I will confess right now, if you are still here, I thank you for watching the entire video. I really do, because most people don't. But I will confess right here that I do not think Trent is the one for her. I think she needs to find somebody else, especially considering that big, huge confession in the book from Trent. And I just don't like, she needs somebody better, younger, someone on her side that can live with her, that can support her. But we'll see what happens. So if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Thank you much. Thank you.